Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj.
And my name is James.
Game day, game day, game day.
You ready?
Yeah, it feels like, I'm going on holiday tomorrow as well. And like when you go on holiday, you wait weeks and weeks and weeks, and suddenly it's all here. And it's like, oh, it's just like a bit of a mad rush towards the end. But feel ready, looking forward to it more than anything else. And just want to get started now, really.
Yep. Tell everyone where you're going on holiday.
St. Ives, near St. Ives, somewhere down there.
Because it sounded glorious, and it still is. But people might think, oh, Suj is off to the Bahamas for 2 weeks.
Nah, I wish I was, mate. I wish I was. Cornwall's a stunning part of the world. So, going to head down there and, it'll be all right. I'll still be recording and still be watching plenty of football and just change the scenery more than anything else. I'm just stuck in the same four walls for a while, just a nice change of scenery. So team reveals, James. This is it. This is not going to be a hugely long podcast because I think a lot of people will be consuming a fair amount of content today and tinkering if they are, and don't overthink it if you are, but we'll keep it snappy, let you know where we are with our FPL teams, Sky Fantasy Football teams, with the players that are playing that game as well, and leave you with your day.
You're doing Sky on this podcast as well, are you?
Well,
save that for the patrons.
Just for the patrons. Oh, okay. James just wants to win the £50,000. That's why.
That's what we do every Friday. To be honest, my Sky team, I'll be very honest, is for those who listen to Wednesday at the moment, it's still exactly the same.
Fine, fair play.
I can't promise that it won't change, but at the moment, it's still the same.
Well, go back and listen to Wednesdays. Then I've only made two changes in my Sky team because of Amati. Well, the impending Vestergaard situation.
Yeah. As is my FPL team, which hasn't changed since Tuesday night. So I know a lot of you may have watched or listened to the podcast we did with Callum, which we released on Tuesday. We recorded that on Monday evening. After we finished recording, I had to play around with it. Okay, was happier with it. And then on Tuesday night, I had a further play. And to be honest, everything I've looked at different since has come back to the same place. So it's not changed since Tuesday night. Should I take you through it, Suj?
Let me tell you something. Neither has mine, except, well, two players. One we debated out in the show and one other. So how weird and interesting that we haven't changed our squads this week at all.
Nothing from the statistics pods influenced you yesterday, no? No, apart from the 15th man, which we can talk about. So go on, take me through your squad, sir. Okay, 0 in the bank. I'm going to be starting with a 4-4-2, but it's a 4-4-2 for this week, which is a 3-5-2 for next week and onwards. In goal, I have gone for Emi Martinez. As I said, is becoming the kind of final difficult choice for me was Martinez or Sanchez. And do I need to spend the extra money? I think if I'd gone with Sanchez, I'd left with $1 million in the bank, which I quite like the idea of. But I've gone with Martinez and I'm probably going to carry it through. If I'm in a blessed position where I've got no problems going into game week 4 and I want to bin Martinez because of Villa's fixtures, I will. But I think it's probably more a case of if I need to find £1 million for something, it's probably more the reason to get rid of Emi Martinez. When we recorded with Lee Jackson, our Villa correspondent, we went into detail in terms of what does an Emi Martinez season look like, knowing that he probably won't hit the total of next season. And I can't overcome the feeling of if it was a 5.5 million outfield player, this wouldn't even be a debate for me. And I think Sanchez at 4.5 is the standout 4.5. But how often do I get that decision wrong during the season? Now, there's limited options this year where I think from the 4.5s in terms of starting with, I really think it probably is just Sanchez or Daniel Backman. But invariably, I go for 4.5s that don't do me justice. And I'm picking what's potentially the best goalkeeper in the game at not the highest price. So I'm going with Emi Martinez. 3 good fixtures to come. Or reassessing a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if he sits in there till our wild card, at least. Back 4. It's obviously been influenced a lot this week by the Andrew Robertson injury on Sunday. Trent is obviously in. I don't think I've ever looked at a team without him, to be honest. Stunning statistics. Highest scoring player second half of last season. Highest scoring player in the last 9 game weeks. I don't actually think he's that bad a captaincy shout even this week as an alternative. I think if I was going rogue and not captain Mo Salah with what I've got, I'd probably stick it on Trent. Trent's obviously in. Luke Shaw's in. What's the ownership now, Suj?
The ownership on Luke Shaw
Ridiculous, about
the time of
56%.
recording, 56.1.
I don't get it, but he is a great pick at 5.5. He's going in for me to give me coverage to cover that off. So I feel one of the things we discussed with Callin on Tuesday's podcast was that he was looking to cover off Villa with Matt Target. What was he thinking about Manchester United coverage then for Luke Shaw? So I've got the coverage of the two teams that really could hurt defensively. And I don't think there's any question that Luke Shaw is a great buy at 5.5. I just don't think many of us can understand how that ownership's got quite so high. And there is a little bit of a fear. And the same applies with Martinez. If players below perform really well and they don't, they're going to lose value quite quickly. So there's a danger in that you need to be aware of with these sort of players. Luke Shaw's in. Schmikas is in. For me, it's a gift horse where you've got to take it in my position. And the reason I've got to take it is Jota has never overly appealed with me to start with because I just foresee it being a problem. And I know there's others who are particularly looking at the first two and the possibility he's possibly going to play as a central striker as a little bit of gold. I've never been overly keen on it personally. And it depends what you read, right? So Jota's going to play through the middle, but everybody's raving about how Roberto Firmino played in Liverpool's last friendly, for example. So, I mean, how clear is it that Jota will play in that position? How clear is it that it will even play at all? Could they play all 4 forwards, particularly with the lack of midfielders going into this weekend? And I think for me, because I was never in serious consideration with Jota, and because I'm happy to start with a 4.0 defender, for me, it means he goes in. I think for others who have got Trent, Salah and Jota, and that's the way they want to go, I don't think you should break your teams for it because it is something that's going to become an issue. There's no doubt that could potentially block the third Liverpool player for a long time for me. It could block me Robertson. It could block me Van Dijk. It could block me Jota, right? There were players one of the 5.0s, if they emerge defensively, it could block me off. So there's a danger in it, but I just simply look at it and go, he's almost definitely going to play left back in the first 2 games. And 1 clean sheet out of the 2, and his price will fly. We'll get him up to 4.2, and then when we move him on, we'll take the money and we'll run. And I think for me, because Jota's never real a serious one for me, became quite easy to pick him in. 4th defender, Ricardo Pereira, who I'm really keen on, and I haven't bottled it. I think this was an easy one for me to bottle because there's an element of risk in it. But he's in. I like their opening fixtures. I've heard he's had a brilliant pre-season. I'm not concerned about the back end of last season. Timothy Castagne does have his mask about. I've got coverage on the bench, which means if it suddenly becomes a problem, it's not an urgency. But I really like the first 3. And I think he's someone who could emerge as a real differential who's not being spoken about that much. I prefer him over Luca Dean. Personally, that's essentially it's the choice that's come down to. So he's in as defender 4. The 5th defender will sit on the bench is Luke Ayling at the moment, who I envisage probably being a regular for me in this team by game week 5. And I think by that point, I'll probably be moving one of Pereira or Shaw on. Ben Foster's the backup goalkeeper. Midfield players, Mo Salah, captain. I don't think I need to go into that any further. The plan for me would be to captain him in game week 2, 5 and 6 as well as it currently stands. Heung-min Son is in. Never been a doubt for me. I've barely looked at a team since the game launched without him. Absolutely convinced that he can do bits this year. I'm conscious that should Kane stay, and obviously if Tottenham buy another attacking player and decide to go with 2 up front, which there are some rumours could happen, seems unlikely to me, I must say, that it might be something that quickly becomes a problem. But I think getting off if I need to get off Son, he's not going to be a problem. So Sonny's in for me. I'm not bothered about the fact he's playing Man City in the opening game. He's got a good record against him. I don't expect him to return at the weekend, but I want him there ready for some good fixtures that come. I think game week 2 to 4, depending on what we see against Wolves, might actually be better looking than how it currently looks. So Sonny's in. Mason Greenwood is in. There's a couple of reasons I like it. I think what's really pushed me into it is the no-show for Cavani, where he's been allowed to stay in Uruguay for longer. Makes me think Cavani's not going to start till the other side of the international break. We spoke on yesterday's pod about the front three possibly being Martial, Daniel James, and Mason Greenwood to start with. Jadon Sancho apparently has been ill all week as well, so he's probably going to struggle to make game week 2 as it stands, Jadon Sancho. So Mason Greenwood's in for me with a good couple of fixtures, and should he still be in the team and start the season well come game week 4, it does obviously give me a brilliant alternative to Bruno within the Manchester United team to go up against it. We spoke yesterday about Greenwood's numbers in terms of non-penalty XG looking really, really good actually over the second half of last season. Fourth midfielder is Harvey Barnes. You'll probably guess by this point that Jamie Vardy's come out of the squad from what we discussed on Tuesday. So I like having the attacking asset of Barnes. Be careful what you see with Harvey Barnes, because depending on the quote you read will either make you pro him or against him. There was quotes yesterday from Brendan Rodgers saying, look, he's still not 100% fit. There's also quotes from him yesterday saying, I thought he was brilliant on Saturday and he's going to have a brilliant season. I don't think there's a question that he plays. I think Wolves have problems at the moment. I think they're going to end up playing a back three out of necessity, which isn't the system that the manager wants to play. Again, even Norwich away game week 3 is a possible captaincy alternative to me if he's up and flying. So really like Harvey Barnes for this weekend. I like Leicester for their first 3 and actually their first 7 in total are good. And at the 7.5 and the 7 million, having those two players, you can obviously come down to plenty of 6.5 players if it goes wrong. The fifth midfielder I'm going to bench this weekend, and I don't like it, is Jack Harrison of Leeds. 6 million. The more and more I thought about it, I came to the conclusion that he's the best 6 million midfielder and was overlooking it for a long time because I really wanted Rafinha in the team. And then looking at Harrison v Rafinha, I don't think there's a lot in it. I'm not happy about leaving him on the bench, and it is literally a 1-week gig. But looking at what I've got, I think I can't be leaving Schmikas on the bench this particular week. None of the other attacking players I can leave out. He does have Manchester United away, and I actually think Leeds can get something this weekend. But I think it's probably the sensible play that I leave him out. Front three, the two very popular players. They seem to be growing in ownership, and they seem to be in nearly every team I see at the moment, which isn't quite the case, but it feels like it. Danny Ings is in, and he'll be my vice captain this weekend away to Watford. Mikel Antonio is in. Plan with Ings is to move him on after game week 4. In game week 4. Antonio, the plan's to move him on is whenever his hamstring goes, basically. Fifth forward is Cucho of Watford, who I've got second sub at the moment. I have no intent.
Forward. Are you scamming in extra players that we don't know about?
Third forward is Cucho of Watford, who seems to be the only one under 5.5 million who looks like he's probably going to get a start. I mean, we joked about it yesterday on one of our shows. Shane Long at 5.5 million. It's got to suddenly be the worst price in the game. Cucho at 5 million alike. João Pedro's out. Josh King's out. He's going to start the season. He's one where if he does get a goal in the first 2 games or so, they'll be interested in, because honestly, it's so shit down there. One of the main questions I've seen over the last 48 hours or so is this 4.5 million forward going to get minutes? Like any of them? The answer is no. Obafemi's turned down a loan move to Blackburn. Will probably still go somewhere. Dane Scarlett will get the odd minute for Tottenham. He's 17. Let's be realistic about it. The other 4.5s aren't going to get any time at all. I think Keenan Davis at Villa is probably going to go out on loan as well. So Cucho at 5 million gives me an option. What it also does as well is, as I always say, I'm going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to make mistakes in the open team. You're not going to have a perfect 15 other than the guy who's top of the world, right? So having a bench of Harrison, Cucho, Ayling at the moment, or in theory, let's say a bench of Schmikas, Cucho, Ayling, gives me a bit more cover. I'm concerned for people that are going Schmikas and 4.5 million forward and 4.5 million midfielder. that is something I'm seeing that's really concerning me, where suddenly I think a problem's going to arise and you're scrambling around. And if you've got a set strategy plan in terms of transfers, you're going to be in trouble, and you might as well rip it up, throw it in the bin, because it's going to come back and hurt. So I think Cucho, if he starts the season well, I can see him staying in the Watford team. He's not someone who's going to get big returns or anything. Doesn't look like that at all. But 5 million forward, I'm happy to pay the extra to have a little bit of security of someone who might get some attacking returns now and again. There's every chance with what I've got at the moment, it's his third sub. And of course, if I need to find that 0.5 for somewhere when we need to get Romelu Lukaku in for 11.5 million, that's another way I can throw it down. But that's the lineup, Suj.
Okay. Do you want me to give you any opinions, or
work away? I mean, what I'd say is, before you do, the only way
it's going to change.
Nah, you know me. The only way it's going to change is if one of them has some dodgy team news about them this afternoon. That's it.
I've been the difference. I mean, look, first and foremost, 9 of the 15 for us are both the same, so that's a reasonable number to say. It's the Smicas plus Greenwood that's worrying me, because that's 2 potential problems in a couple of weeks to deal with. And then if you throw in one more, so I feel like you might have preloaded a couple too many problems that are on the horizon, which you know about. But if you're happy to let Smicas just sit there as third sub as a 4.0, because there is not many other 4.0 is worth it, then fine. And Robertson could be out injured longer. Greenwood, again, I guess the same worries you have about Jota, I have about Greenwood. So you could say everything I'm going to say about Greenwood, about Jota, there's a problem in a couple of weeks. Difference being, I don't have any other fodder around that means I couldn't deal with that problem potentially. But we're not too dissimilar in our thinking in the way that we've set our squads up. I've gone slightly differently to you though. Sanchez and Foster are my 2 goalkeepers. I just look at Sanchez. In the minutes he played, 10 clean sheets is decent. They've got a good start and a good run of fixtures. Ownership is high. You can't overthink it with Sanchez. Trent and Shaw, locked for me. I've gone with Luka Dean. I think his attacking output and defensive output, he's got 2 ways of scoring points, either a Benitez masterclass with 11 men behind the ball, or he whips in a cross or a set piece or something and they score. So he's going to be on a lot of set pieces. I think Luka Dean is worth the risk at the beginning for a number of game weeks. So I'll be starting with a 3-4-3, and it'll be Shaw, Trent, Luka Dean as the starting defenders. Luke Ayling is I don't think he's moved from the first draft I put together, to be honest with you, at 4.5. I think that was a very easy pick. And we'll come back to my 5th defender as the 15th pick. My midfield, Son. Yeah, no worries there. Salah, Harvey Barnes, and my 7.5 is Jota. So Jota, Greenwood, toss a coin, right? At that point. My 5th midfielder is Bissouma, 4.5. It's just a sub, mate, and he's going to play. Simple as that. And up front, Ings, Antonio, and Ivan Toney has gone in as well. So I'll be playing a 3-4-3 with Barnes, Salah, Jota, Son, Toney, Ings, Antonio. And looking at it, like Jota, I think is good for a couple of games, and Ings is good for at least 3 games. So that could be my game week 2, game week 3 issues and concerns. But other than that, I don't see myself changing my team from week to week to week. I haven't loaded up like he'll play this week and he'll play that week, or he'll play this week, he'll play that week. And my 5th defender is where I'm a bit tossing and turning. I've got £5 million, James. So the options could be Soufal, who's got a good 1, 3, and 3 and 4. But again, this player is likely to be on the bench. Dawson, that we mentioned, no one's mentioning, but we did talk about the defensive frailties of some of the sides that are coming up. I don't think he's a bad shout. Lewis Dunk, he's solid as you like. Brighton have got good fixtures for the first few. If I decided I'd just bank $500,000, Ben White will do the job and happily sit on the bench. So I've got a number of options at 5 million or less for that 5th defender. I haven't decided which one I'm going to go with yet, but they are going to be on the bench. So
I think Ben White is the solution for you. Leaves you to 0.5 in the bank, which I haven't done and would like to have done, to be honest. And I could do that. I could get Kucha down to 4.5 million forward and leave the 0.5, and it might do me something. But no, I'd rather have a little bit more security on the bench, actually. I think Ben White for usage, purely on the way that you're speaking, that you sounds like whoever you get, you don't actually want to use.
No, I don't. And the Arsenal defender sitting there, Ben White at 4.5.
No, but it might be, yeah, exactly. They've obviously got a good fixture swing from game week 4. It might be that by the time you come to game week 4, it's really nice to have him sitting there. Now, it might give you a headache come game week 4, and you think, well, I don't want to bench Ben White at home to Norwich and stuff like that. But I think deal with that as and when you come. It might be that means it suddenly opens the door for you to sell Luca Dean to another 4.5 or 4, for example, that allows you to help gain money to get up to Lukaku, for example. So I think for you, considering it really sounds like it's a player that you almost don't need, it's either Ben White or it's a 4.0. You've got Schmikas, right?
No.
You haven't?
I'm a Jota, Salah, Trent, aren't
I? Okay, so you haven't got Schmikas.
No.
To be honest, I'd go 4.0, mate. Honestly, I'd leave $1 million in the bank.
There's no good 4.0s, James, other than Schmikas.
I would have the 4.0s right now, other than Schmikas. I think I'd go on Mabamidele of Norwich.
Me too, and that doesn't fill me with any joy with their fixtures.
So she's never going to move a third off your bench, mate. He's going to be in the team till Grant Hanley's fit, basically. And Grant Hanley might even be fit this weekend, by the way. There's a very outside chance of it. He's not going to be first choice. I think Gibson and Hanley will be first choice. But at the moment, it looks like he's going to start the season. And that might be enough just to have the playing sitting there. I think Amati, now it looks, Vestergaard, as it stands, could play for Leicester tomorrow against Wolves. Amati just looks like you're walking into nothingness with decent ownership as well. And
Livramento?
I don't mind that. I think Livramento is the one who's got the potential to develop into a real 4.0 option as the season goes on. He's obviously not going to give you a headache because you really would not pick him till game week 9, 10 at the earliest if he got in the team, I don't think. So that removes a headache. I don't mind that. Livramento's 4. It might be your solution, Suj, if you don't want to use it. I think personally, for yourself, I'd go White.
Yeah, simple solution.
Because
leaves a bit of money in the bank, halfway house, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think that it gives you that option suddenly when game week 4 and you think, oh my God, I've got to scramble this. Suddenly you've got a player coming off the bench that gives you an option. And listen, it's still Arsenal, right? So if you end up leaving him there for Norwich at home and Burnley away and stuff, he stays there. He's a 4.5 defender who's not going to get many attacking returns. Let's face it. So I think that's probably the solution. You could make a case that you're spending too much defensively then. But I think that's okay, mate. You know that gives you a really good out. Having Ben White gives you a really good out to get, say, rid of Dean or Shaw or even Trent so you can find money. I've already spoken about that, saying that I'm going to kind of be looking at that Pereira or Shaw downgrade. Yeah. And that's despite the fact I've got Schmikas sitting there as well.
5, yeah.
So White will enable you that a little bit quicker.
Yep. I don't mind that. Having said that, in the early stages, if I was being a bit more aggressive,
you're going to throw Luke Ayling in the team as well, aren't you? Mm-hmm. To be honest, maybe not if White would do you 4, but then Luke Ayling beyond that for you. So how much would you use White? That's the only thing.
No, I'm more comfortable with my bench having the 4.5, knowing that they're going to be playing, than a 4 million that I'm not going to use just in case.
What's your bench at the moment as it stands?
Well, if I was to buy Ben White, Ayling, Bissouma, and Ben White.
That's okay. The minimal playing, right? Even under that, Bissouma becomes third sub rather than second sub, doesn't he? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm happy with the rest of the team. I think it's sound. It's boring, which is what people say we need to be at this time of year.
I'm not going to talk you out of anything at this stage, mate, because I want you to have something locked in. And that's for me.
It is locked. Other than that fifth midfield, it's like I've got the money. I'd rather have the money in the 500,000 in the bank. Ben White was the was the sensible choice, just because it's so annoying seeing a player on your bench that you actually want to play, like you've got with Harrison, right? It's annoying having him on the bench when you want to play him, and it's even more annoying when he bloody scores at the weekend. So yeah.
What's your captaincy plan for first 6 or so? Do you know it?
No, to be honest with you. No, I mean, Salah covers off
1, 2, 5, and 6.
Yeah. Sonny.
3.
Or Sonny or Big Thighs. I'm
Antonio,
open to Big Thighs. It depends what I see with West Ham. If I see that we're in good form, playing like we did for the bulk of last season, Ben Rama's being creative in behind, I'm not scared of captaining, because that's a 3:00 Saturday kickoff. I think the stadium's going to be pumping for that one as well, Derby and all that. So I'm not scared of Big Thighs, but probably Sonny. Again, that depends a bit on what I see from Spurs as well. So I've got 2 options there. Game week 4, I might go with Salah again,
Well, it's the problem one, isn't it? Away to Leeds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just interestingly,
own a Chelsea player by then.
My 5 other attackers other than Salah that I'm starting with, actually, I think are all possibly options in game week 3. Greenwood at Wolves, Son at home to Watford, Barnes at Norwich, Antonio at home to Palace, and Ings at home to Brentford.
Yeah.
So we've spoken about this. Game week 3 is the one you swing wherever you want. That's the one to take your chance if you want to do it. Now, game week 4 is obviously the problem for us, Suj, with no Bruno. And this is obviously one of the reasons partly why I've ended up going with Mason Greenwood as well. And I realise he may not even be in a Manchester United team by the time it comes around. But it might give me a really straightforward solution and an out. Because I think if I'm confident when I get there that Greenwood would start, then I wouldn't hesitate just to stick the captaincy on him against Newcastle, and I'll go against Bruno. In terms of transfers, there is no set plan other than the fact I've ended up with Martinez and Ings rather than, I think this time 10 days ago was Buendia and Watkins. If they have to stay for me, Ings' consistency is proven at top level, right? He'll score against the big teams. It's not a problem for him. And Martinez can obviously hold through. So for me, I'm in less of a desperate situation where I'd always thought it was going to be, I have to get rid of Villa in game week 4. I have to get rid of him in game week 4. I might not have to. I'm sure there are people I want to move to, but for example, it might be that I'm Antonio to Jimenez in game week 4, for example, once he's injured. What that actually means is I haven't actually got any real transfer plan at all. Other than I want to roll next week, which I think having people like Harrison, Ayling and Cucho on the bench probably means I should be in a position that I can do that. Obviously, if I lose Salah to an injury or Son, then obviously we're working through things. But I think I could lose a player and probably still get through next week and be quite happy. I want to get to 3, and I ideally want 2 for 4 because I know really there is a swing there in terms of transfers. But I think if I get to 3, and I'm quite happy with this, which I probably won't be, honestly, I think I'll go Salah to Fernandes in game week 3 and go back in game week 5. But to do that, I've got to be really happy with my team now. I can look at it on paper now and go, that's what I'm going to do. I'm fairly certain that's not what I end up doing. But then that will cover me so that all you have to have Bruno because of 3 and 4. It might honestly be that I end up getting Bruno in for 3 and 4 for the captaincy and then moving him off again. I think once he's in, it would go back for me because I can't not have Salah back for Palace at home and Brentford away, personally, in 5 and 6. So I'd have to be comfortable that I'm booking in the transfer for game week 5 as well, which is obviously dangerous if I go down that route. So I need to be really happy with the squad. But otherwise, yeah, I think game week 4 would be as it stands, Greenwood home to Newcastle or Heung-min Son away to Palace. And the other one might be, by the time it comes around, actually, Antonio at Southampton. Might look a good option.
We might all be buying a Man City player by then as well, because they are getting not anywhere near enough attention at the moment.
The City player I wanted was Riyad Mahrez. And it just doesn't work for me. I mean, like I could have gone Sanchez in goal, moved Greenwood or Barnes to Mahrez, and gone Cucho to a 4.5. Bang, it's done. But I didn't like it.
No.
I didn't like it. I felt like I was losing something in the team that I didn't want to. And yes, I think Morris is a great option for the first 2 games. Morris is a great pick. Bruno Fernandes is a great pick. Can't have 15 great players. Can't have everyone you want. And there's people about to find out with Lukaku joining the game in a few weeks, not necessarily now. And I think it's unlikely he'd start at the weekend. But Lukaku, if Kane goes to City, when Jadon Sancho gets up to form, to fit in these big premium players is going to become tough. He's going to become really, really tough. I think that most people just think they'll be using the wild card to fix it. And I may be doing the same as well. I think I've got a very open mind about wild card this year. I mean, if I need to be getting Kane at Southampton in game week 5 and Lukaku for his run in game week 7, that's obviously if Kane's at City, which I'm beginning to think more and more that it probably is going to happen the closer we get towards the deadline. But I don't think it'll happen for a couple of weeks, by the way. Then I'm happy to pull the wild card early. Ideally want to keep it till Manchester United's fixture swing in game week 15, but I'm not going to be stubborn about it this year. And I think it may need to be used to decide at that point what premiums do you really want and how can you manage it if you need to switch between them. Because I think that there is going to have to be a lot of that this year. The switching between Lukaku, Kane, the switching between Salah, Fernandes, Mane, De Bruyne and stuff like that, which actually means your other picks, you need to be more consistent with your other picks and trust them a little bit more, I think, so you can make sure you can get around the right captaincies.
Yeah, I can easily see myself around game week 5, 6, 7, just somewhere between game week 6 and 10, I think is where I'll be pulling the trigger on the wild card as we see some fixture swings and just refresh the team up with knowing who's in form and how teams are playing. So yeah, excited.
Good luck, mate.
Good luck to all of you listeners out there. I do hope that one of you is the one that brings it home and wins entire FPL with the stress. Send a picture of your stress ball and your pen and whatever else they send you to us at the end of the season.
Do you know the mini league code, Suj?
No.
I'll put it in the bio because I keep forgetting to put it in the bio, but I'll just get it up now and have a look.
Regular Planet FPL podcast mini league.
Yeah.
Don't even know how many players we've got in it, to be honest with you. Does it tell you? It doesn't, does it?
No, you have to go through too many pages and I really can't be bothered to go through it. But the winner of the Planet FPL podcast, a little bit like Dieter Mine, who joined us at the end of last season, will get an invite to join us on the podcast this season, or at the end of the season, should I say. Or in worst case, it might be before the beginning of next season, but definitely over the summer months, because we do intend to actually take a holiday next year. But yeah, you'll definitely get an invite onto the podcast. The Planet FPL podcast mini league is, I've pressed the wrong button, Suj. It is D7 MMXW, which is an awful code. D for Delta, the number 7, M twice, that's M for mother, X for xylophone. I didn't need to say that, did I? And W for wanker. Yeah, that's the code. D7MMXW. Come and join us in the mini league. We do have cash prize mini leagues on our Patreon as well, including automatic entry to our Patreon Champions League competition that will begin in game week 2 as well. If you want to be in that and you're not a patron, honestly, you've only got a few hours because you need to be in it before game week 1 starts.
Yes. And to find out more about that, you can head over to patreon.com/Planet FPL. More than just helping keep the lights on and support the show, it's becoming part of the Planet FPL community, which means a very active Slack channel with hundreds of other managers that are talking about their clubs, live games, and all sorts of other stuff, including weird things like cricket, James.
And wait, that'll end. The winter nights are coming. That'll end soon enough.
We also have, as James mentioned, some prize leagues in there, depending on what tier. There's no, other than being a patron, there's no other fees to enter, and a bunch of other games as well. So people setting up mini leagues for the likes of Gaffer and Fantasy Scotland and cup competitions. It's more than just FPL. There's a lot of different competitions in there. And what else? There's other bits and pieces involved with Patreon as well. Oh, podcast. The most important thing, more podcasts. we chat more shit, basically. So if 5 a week isn't enough and you need more crap in your ears, definitely a place to go. We do all sorts of specials, weekly quiz, which is good fun, especially listening to my answers to some of the questions. So it would be great to have you on board. We're looking to get to 500 people. We're not far off by the end of the month. So patreon.com/Planet FPL.
I mean, if you enjoyed the content, come and support us.
Indeed. Stay safe, though. Ciao for now. And anyone going to any games this weekend, enjoy it. It's just, I think this is one of the biggest things.
I shall. I'll be meeting Johnny Pringle, our Man City correspondent, for a pint before the game.
Buy him a drink because he got engaged, James, from us. Buy him a couple.
I will.
Congratulations to him. Stay safe, guys. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. Good luck. Don't tinker too lastminute.com. Cue music, please, man, child.